right, we're going to work on our final lessons with fractions. So we're going to be multiplying fractions. You are going to do these two things today. First one is understand a fraction, A over B, that means any number over any other number, as a multiple of 1 over B. Okay, so we see that B is in both of the denominators, so it means that the denominator will be the same. Okay, so those are fancy words to say you're going to, sorry for moving it like that, you're going to multiply a whole number times 1 over another denominator, any denominator. And you've already done this. 5 times 1 over 4 equals 5 over 4. So it was like when we started with this at the beginning almost, where you would say like 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 also equaled 5 times 1/4. You know how to do that. We're going to take it a little bit further, and we're going to use that understanding to multiply a fraction by a whole number. Okay, so we're going to look at it the same way we did right here. 5 times 1/4, you multiplied the whole number times the denominator. Excuse me, so sorry. The whole number times the numerator. Put the answer in the numerator, but the denominator stayed the same. I'm going to show you why in a minute. We're going to do that with other fractions that don't have 1 in the numerator. Excuse me, my words are mixed up today. So 3 times 2/5. We're still going to do the same. The whole number times the numerator, so 3 times 2 will equal 6. The denominator will stay the same. Okay, so 3 times 2/5 equals 6/5. It's like having sets of 2/5. I have 3 of them. Don't look on yet. I know you can see it, but don't try to read or understand what that means quite yet. So if every box was a 2/5, there were 2/5 in it. If I have 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them, I have 2, 4, 6/5, right? That is the same as saying 6 times 1/5. It still equals 6 times 1 in the numerator is 6, and the denominator stays the same. That's what we're going to be working on. All right, so we're going to start on this page, lesson 35, problem set. So I want you to take that out. We're going to do a couple of things with it. Once you get going, I think you're going to see that it's fairly simple. So before you even start looking at the number 1 on there, I want to show you what I was talking about when I said 5 times 1/4. I said that we take the whole number times the numerator. 5 times 1 is 5, and the denominator stays the same. I want to show you real quickly why that is, but if it's a little bit confusing, you don't really have to worry about it. I just want you to understand that this is what it is. I can take any whole number, it does not matter what it is, and if I want to make it a fraction, I just put it over 1. Okay, and then you know that an improper fraction, well, you would divide the numerator by the denominator. 5 divided by 1 is 5, right? So anytime that I need to, if I'm doing any kind of work with numbers, with fractions, anytime I need a whole number to be a fraction, all I have to do is put it over, what did I say? 1, all right? So when I do that, because multiplication of fractions is different, you're technically multiplying the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator, okay? So you'll learn that later, probably. You'll learn it in 5th grade, work with it a lot in 6th grade, but I just want you to see it because I don't want it to be just a super foreign idea to you. That means just very odd, very different, that you can turn that whole number into a fraction. But that's what they're doing. The way we're going to see it, all of them, is just a whole number, and you have to know you take the whole number times the numerator. Okay? All right, so let's get started. Look at number 1. It says, draw and label a tape diagram to show that the following is true. So it says 8/5. Now they're doing the work for you. They're telling you that is 5 times 2/5. I'm trying to write it down. They have they're showing you that it can also equal 4 times 2, and you can leave the fifths out. That's the distributive property. It means I can move these around and still make them work. What are we multiplying by right here? What do we have? 2/5. So it says a tape diagram. It just means make yourself a box. Every box is going to have 2/5 in it, just like what I showed you. How many of those boxes will we need? 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If they all had 2/5 in them, count them. How many would we have? 2, 4, 6, 8 fifths. I'd have 8/5, right? So draw that tape diagram and then write 8/5 by it. And then I want you to quickly, I'm not even going to pause on the video, I'm not going to pause the video. I'm going to do it on here without you looking. So while I'm doing it, you do it. If you need to stop the video to get everybody done, then do that. I want you to take this answer, this 8/5, I want you to turn it into a mixed number. Okay, do that quickly. Okay, just like this. 8 divided by 5, 5 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 5 is 5, and there's 3 left. That's my numerator. 1 3/5. Okay, so I want you to get in the habit of practicing that. You've done it before. You know how to do it. So I want you to practice with that. All right? I want you to pause the video quickly, and I want you to try to make the tape diagram of letter B, 10/6. It's 5 times 2/6. Okay, what they're showing you when you switch it, when they just put the 5 times 2, 6, they're showing you could just multiply that. 5 times 2 is 10, I already tell you that, and then add the unit back on. You can do it like that. But I want you to draw it quickly. It's the last one we're going to draw. And then I want you to turn the answer into a mixed number. All right, let's look at the tape diagram. Each of my boxes has 2 6 in there, and if I have 5 boxes, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 6. When you turn that into a mixed number, 6 goes into 10 one time, and there's 4 left over in the numerator. So 1 4, 6. All right, we're going to just quickly practice on number 2. We're going to do them together without drawing tape diagrams. We're going to multiply them, and then we're going to turn them into mixed numbers and then give you some practice. So letter A is 7 times 2/3. Your goal is to try to beat me, okay? So you try to get it down and get your answer before I can show you the answer and walk you through it. So you should already have 7 times 2/3 written down. You know that we're going to multiply the whole number times the numerator. It's 14/3. Our denominator will stay the same because technically I'm multiplying 7/1, and 1 times 3 is still 3. Okay? I know that 3 times 5 is what? 15. So it's almost can go in there 5 times, but not quite. So it can only go in 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 14 minus 12 is 2. There's 2 left over. Okay, so our answer is 4 2/3. Good. Do letter B while I get it written down. 4 times 2/4. Right? You're going to multiply across, so the whole number times the numerator. 4 times 2 is 8/4. How many times can 4 go into 8? 2. Ooh, that answer is 2, unless you drop the marker and then it's some weird looking number. Good. All right, let's look at letter C. C has a larger number. We're still going to do the same thing. we just might have to write it down a little different. So 16 times 3/8. Okay, so we're going to do the whole number times the numerator, but I'm going to do the work over here because I don't know 16 times 3 off the top of my head. Okay, what I do know, if I am trying to do it mentally, I do know 10 times 3 is 30, and I should have done it in order, sorry. 3 times 6 is 18, and 10 times 3 or 3 times 10 is 30. I can just add those together quickly. That gives me 48. So I know it's going to be 48 over what will my denominator be? 8. If you have your multiplication chart out, you should be able to do this one quickly looking at it. What's 48 divided by 8? I know this from the rhyme. 6 times 8 is 48. Goes in there 6 times. That's my answer. Good. All right, I want you to pause for just a minute before we do letter D. I want you to ask any questions that you have and then do letter D and come back to check my answer. All right, 6 times 5/8. 6 times the numerator. 6 times 5 is 30 over 8. If I know my 8s, I know that 8 times 4 is 32. That's too large, so it only goes in 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24. And a 4 needs 6 to get up to the next 10. So 24 needs 6 to get up to 30. There's 6 left over 8. 3 and 6/8. All right. So hopefully that was pretty easy for you. I want you to flip to the back side. And I want you to look down at the bottom. Look at number 4, because you will see these in word problems probably quite a bit. So I want us to get used to reading those. Always using cubes. Even when you're doing the state testing, we can't do every part of this right there on the computer. Like we can't circle our numbers. We could highlight the question, but we can't underline it. You can definitely highlight the keywords. Sorry, I was thinking, what's B? That's a box. So we can highlight them. We can't make a box around the keywords. And then you would have to, on your scratch paper, do E and S. So on the scratch paper, I would still do part of this. I wouldn't rewrite the question though. That's the only part I wouldn't do. So look at number 4. It says, Maria needs 2/3 yard of fabric for each costume. How many yards of fabric does she need for 6 costumes? So what numbers are you circling right now? 3/5 and 6. If I was doing it on the state testing on my scratch paper, I'd still write this. I'd still write the numbers down. Okay, go ahead and underline the question. What is the question? Read it out loud. Right? How many yards of fabric does she need for 6 costumes? That's what you're answering. Box in, on the test you'd have to highlight, but right now you can box in the keyword. What's the keyword? I hope you're talking about it. Here it is. Each. This one is an easy keyword, but it's an easy one to miss. If you see each, they're telling you that it's going to be multiplied because she needs 3/5 yard of fabric for each costume. So how many does she need if she needs 6 costumes? Okay, write your equation in the bottom there. What is it? You can make it go either way, or you could put 6 first. 6 times 3/5, and then go ahead and solve it. What is that? 6 times 3 is 18 over 5. Let's turn that into a mixed number. How many times does 5 go into 18? 5, 10, 15. Goes in 3 times, and there's how many left? 18 minus 15, same as 8 minus 5, 3. There's 3 left over 5. Now she needs 3 3/5 what? Yards of fabric. So you do need, I ran out of room, I'm gonna have to write it underneath, but you do need to write the label, yards of fabric. Okay? 3 3/5. All right, on the top part there, I want you to choose 3 problems to do. So quickly circle 3 different problems. And I want you to flip to lesson 36 right here. And I want you to choose 4 problems, but at least 2 of them have to be word problems. So choose at least 2 of the word problems. You could choose 3 if you want. Okay? So you should have a total of 7 problems to do. So what I want you to do before we go on is I want you to pause the video and I want you to work on those 7 problems. Do those, get them checked or check them all together. However, the teacher in the room says is the best way to do it. But I want you to work on those. Make sure whatever your answer is that you're turning it into, a mixed number, because you're going to get an improper fraction. So I want you to do that. And then as soon as you finish that, turn the video back on. And we're going to do one more thing with multiplication on the very last page, lesson 38. All right, let's look at lesson 38. It's the same thing that you've been doing with multiplying, except instead of multiplying just a fraction, you're going to multiply a mixed number, okay? And we're going to use the distributive property. That means I can break them apart. I can distribute them differently. So just like, look down at the bottom here. All I did at the top was write the problem we're gonna do. Just like 16 times 3, I can break that up. I said, oh, I know 3 times 6, and we said that was 18. And then I also know 3 times 10, because this is in the tens place, I have 110. So 3 times 10, and that was 30. And then what do we have to do down here? Add them. This is what we did. We distributed it differently. I broke this up to say 16 is 10 and 6. And I multiplied both parts by 3. All right, that's all we're going to do when we multiply the mixed numbers. So they give you it broken up. They say it's something times 3 plus something times 4/5. Okay, so we have 7 times 3 and 4/5. So what we're going to do is multiply the whole number, 7 times 3. And then we're going to multiply 7 times 4/5. So write that in there. Anytime I have equations with parentheses, I always get the answers underneath. I kind of make it almost like a triangle going, or an upside down triangle. My work gets less and less to have an answer at the bottom. So let's do this one. 7 times 3 is 21 plus 7 times 4/5. Well, what's 7 times 4? 28 over 5. Good. So now we're going to do the work right under here. You can either, right here, you can turn this into the mixed number and set it to the side with an equal. I'm going to put it underneath because I still have this 21. So I'm going to do 21 plus, and then what's this? How many times can 5 go into 28? Well, 28 is almost 30, so it can almost go in 6 times. Almost 6 is 5. If you're not sure, count it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it goes in 5 times. 28 minus 25 is 3/5. Now add it together. Just your whole numbers. 21 plus 5 is 26 and 3/5. Okay? See how I started bigger, went down smaller. All right? I want you to try letter B. First of all, while I'm still talking and writing mine down, I know that you can fill in the parentheses that they have. All right, so it's 3 times 12, and 7/8. So put it in the distributive property. That equals 3 times 12 plus 3 times what? 7/8. Good. So now let's get them together and see. Let's solve them. 3 times 12. If you don't know that one off your head, the top of your head, think of 3 times 10 is 30, and 3 times 2 is 6, so it's 36, plus 3 times the numerator, 3 times 7 is 21 over 8. Okay, so now it's 36 plus, let's see, how many times can 8 go into 21? If you can't do it in your head, then you need to do long division, or you need to use your multiplication chart, and then you can even use the other side with the hundreds chart to do the subtraction. So if you count by eights, it's 8, 16, it goes in twice, and then 21 minus 16, I would count that up. I know 16, 6 needs 4 more to get to the next 10, so it needed 4 to get to 20, and 1 more is 5. 5/8. Okay? Add your whole numbers. 36 plus 2 is 38, and 5/8. Good. All right, what I want you to do, we're going to work on A through D. I want you to do letter A. I want you to do just the first part, which is write it, use the distributive property. So show what we're going to be multiplying in the parentheses. Pause, show it quickly, and then play the video again and check it before we move on. Okay, is this what you have written? 7 times 8 plus 7 times 2/5. Just broke this up. 7 times 8 and then 7 times 2/5. All right, I want you to pause again. I want you to solve that so you have a whole number plus an improper fraction, and then check. All right, you should have 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 2 in the numerator, is 14 over the denominator, which is 5. Okay, now do the next line, which is 56 plus this answer as a mixed number. Okay, you should have 56 plus 2 and 4/5. Let's add the whole numbers quickly. 58, and our fraction stays the same, 58 and 4/5. Good. All right, I want you to do letter B just like that. So you're going to put it into the parentheses, stop and check. We'll do the multiplication, stop and check. All right, so do letter B, write it using the distributive property. Did you see how they tried to trick you? They didn't put their whole number first, they put it second. It still breaks up 9 times 4 and 9 times 5, 6. All right, go ahead and answer those and then check the video again. All right, 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 5, 6 is 45, 6. All right, do the next 2 lines. 36 plus, and put your mixed number. Change this into a mixed number, and add those whole numbers with your final answer and check it. That mix, or the improper fraction as a mixed number, should be 7 and 3/6. And I add 36 plus 7, that's 43 and 3/6. All right, I want you to try to do letter C and D by yourself. If you get stuck, then make sure you're asking whoever's in the room to help you, or check it with a neighbor quickly, and then come back and check the answers with me. All right, 3 times 8 twelfths is the same as 3 times 8 plus 3 times 11 twelfths. Did I say the problem right? I don't know, 3 times 8 twelfths, I don't know. It's going around different in my head, so if I said it wrong, I'm sorry, but this is the distributive property. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 11 twelfths is 33 over 12. And then you turn that into a mixed number, so it's 24 plus 2 and 9 twelfths, and then your answer is 26 and 9 twelfths. I hope you did that one fairly well. If you're getting them wrong, then make sure that you're asking questions, you're checking with somebody, and then you're just going back and looking at the examples we did together and see where you're making a mistake. All right, let's look at letter D. Okay, 5 times 20 over 8 tenths. That's the same as 5 times 20 plus 5 times 8 tenths. So 5 times 20 is 100. 5 times 8 tenths is 40. 5 times 8 is 40 tenths. And then you just divide it. How many times can 10 go into 40? 10, 20, 30, 40. Or we know that in everything else we can cover up the zeros, right? Well, when we're dividing, those zeros cancel each other out. So as long as both numbers end with the 0, you can cancel it out. Now it's 4 divided by 1. That's 4. Either way, it's the same answer. 104 is your answer. All right. There's not necessarily a practice page for that, but there are word problems. Look at the very front page. I'm going to tell you some numbers. I'll tell them out loud and then I'll write them on here too. I want you to circle these ones. And then as there's time to practice, you are going to practice with these ones. You're going to work on these. And anything in this packet that you think you're still having a little bit of struggle with, or something that you can't quite remember how to do, then you're going to go back and do some of the problems that you didn't do before. Like where I said choose 4. If there's a few other problems, work on those. If you've already done them and you think you need more help, then either make up a problem or ask the teacher to write another problem down for you to practice. Tomorrow, you'll be taking a show me on this, where we'll work on some of these different fractions, from the adding and subtracting, taking a mixed number and turning it into an improper fraction, improper into a mixed number, and then multiplying, okay? And using these word problems. So I want you to make sure that you know what to do. So practice with those, and then you should be really great. You should be really good to go. All right? So I'll say the numbers, but I'll leave them up here too. These are the numbers to circle. Number 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. All of these word problems are multiplication problems, okay? So even though I'm telling you that, I want you to be able to find the key word in there, all right? Did you hear that loud noise? I told you it's the alarm at my house. Sometimes people open the door when the alarm, we forget to turn it off in the morning, sometimes the house alarm, and then they open the outside door and it goes off and it's really loud. All right, so do those problems, but do cubes. I know that doesn't give you much room there, and you don't need this much room, because on your paper you can circle the numbers, underline the question, box in, circle, underline, box in the keyword, and then write the equation and solve it. All right, so work on those word problems, and then make sure you're asking questions about any other part that you don't know about or that you need a little bit of extra help. All right, go be awesome.